Very tense game number one, really the perfect game to start out this series in a grand finals like this. I don't expect anything less for game number two. What I do actually expect, from Alliance anyway, is a return back to the split push strategy. I mean, as Nahaz was saying, it felt like they were kind of trying to test Nip, and that game number one will pick up a much more aggressive all-in push lineup and see how you react to it. Nip seemed to react very, very well by being able to split push, most notably through Jonas and his excellent Queen of Pain. I mean, I don't know how you rat on a Queen of Pain, but somehow Jonas managed to do it.
Yeah, and it felt like there was a little bit of a role reversal, as NIP this time were the ones to go for the split push, and Alliance were kind of the ones that were going for the aggressive, I don't want to say all-in, because it wasn't that at all, but it was definitely geared towards pushing in the mid-game, and I mean, there was sort of a timer. Like, you don't really want to say it as a caster, and because it's a little bit anticlimactic, but there was a little bit of a timer associated with Alliance's lineup, and I'm not used to seeing them go for pushes like that. Typically what ends up happening is that Pycat will play the true carry, whereas Loda will play the setup hero, and then Bulldog will play like whatever the mid is, like whatever core is left over as a result of that. And they kind of switched things around this game, and I actually thought that Bulldog played that game nearly flawlessly, but it just kind of felt like NIP was one step ahead, and they were able to read the situations, and they applied pressure so early. That's the thing, is that they were the first two on the board, right? Jonas and Fawn got that solo first blood kill at bottom. They managed to pick up that kill on Pycat early, and it just seemed like Alliance were never able to grab footing, and NIP just kind of kept them constantly off balance.
Yeah, Nip guys, funny story. When I actually went outside, I saw the Nip guys, and I asked them about that mid melee racks, and it wasn't that they thought the creep would finish it off. They actually thought they had mega creep straight up. They were so excited. They thought they had mega creeps. They're like, all right, let's go back, take Roshan.
When did they realize?
All of a sudden, Era, as they're retreating on voice chat, we didn't get mega creeps, guys. Made things certainly interesting, though. It was still a really great position for Nip to be in. Now we get into game number two here as the first set of bans come out. Undying and even the Disruptor banned away in the first 1-2 by Alliance. That's some serious respect to Hanskin's Disruptor. Last time they took it for themselves to make sure that Hanskin couldn't get his hands on the Disruptor, and this time they just straight out ban it. While Ninjas the Pajamas, again, respect to the fact that Alliance are known to be one of the best rat teams out there. Ban away both the Furion as well as the Naga Siren.
Yeah, I think it's just a good ban overall. It was a good, I mean, it's one of Hanskin's favorite heroes. There's no reason not to go for it. I think it's a good play by Alliance to ban it straight away. This is your elimination match. Like, if you lose one more game, you're out of this tournament, go for the ban. They pick up the IO because they realize it's going to be a hotly contested hero between the two of them.
Yes.
And NIP instantly respond with the Leshrac. The Beastmaster is available to them as well, but I don't think Jonas is a Beastmaster player, right? Like, you want him on the type of hero that can transition into a core.
Yeah, we have seen Jonas play some Beastmasters in the past, but I would say you're completely right. It's not a hero that I really associate Jonas too much with. I remember Jonas had one game that I watched a while ago where he was playing that like Boots of Travel, Necronomicon, like TPing to his Hawk in order to get the gank and that sort of play. But more often than not, we see more like Clockworks picked by him. Now, I was just about to ask you, does Alliance actually go for the Tiny Wisp? If this was Ninjas of Pajamas, you'd say 100%. But Alliance are actually more known for not necessarily coupling the Wisp with the Tiny, but more than likely actually willing to run it with many other heroes.
I think it's actually, it was like, they were the ones that really made IO-CK, right? Like, they ran it every single game.
Yep, that was
they made it super popular, but the IO Tiny just seems to be a little bit stronger, as CK has sort of been phased out of the metagame. And I think Tiny, I mean, it offers you so much more. You can go for the split push, you can go into as a late game carry. It's just a beast of a hero, no reason not to take it. But NIP, again with the Witch Doctor pick, I'd imagine that's for Seal Kid, who you're seeing on the screen. And I think he just played it so well. Like, I really like the way that he's playing it. He doesn't play it offensively. He actually gets aggressive early using the Maledict level 1, level 2. I really like that.
Now our second set of bans. Again, Jonas's Axe going to be banned away, as well as the Viper. Pretty decent here to face up against the Tiny Wisp mid. Meanwhile, the Broodmother and the Beastmaster going to be banned away. Again, more Bulldog heroes.
Yeah, I think I talked to, it was Era and Hanskin yesterday, and they said, we're just gonna ban out Bulldog. We're always gonna ban out NP top 2 no matter what happens. We don't care. We're probably gonna ban out whatever we feel like is you know, in order of what's the biggest issue. And I think that Naga is one of those heroes that you just don't want to give to Loda if you can help it. And you're okay giving them the IO Tiny because, as a result, you took Witch Doctor, one of your, you know, premier picks if you're NIP, and you've got Leshrac and Queen of Pain as a result.
And I was just about to say, again, the Queen of Pain going to be picked up by Ninjas in Pajamas. They could potentially run it in the offlane again, because you know you're most likely dealing with Alliance going for a Tiny Wisp mid, in which case you're only dealing with 2 heroes in the defensive dual lane. That seems like it's much more likely the Queen of Pain can work as an offlane hero like it did last game. But with the Bane picked up, now that's some really solid lockdown. If you get any sort of control, like anything that can throw out a disable as your safe lane farmer, it's unlikely the Queen of Pain can run up there, and that's why Nip probably pick up this Bristleback to go there instead. Or the Bristleback actually does very well as a solo mid against the Tiny Wisp.
I think it does okay. Like, you have to at least hit level 3 safely. You have to secure your Bristleback the bounty rune, I think.
You have to get supports to help out the Bristleback early on, right?
Yeah, because once he hits like level 4, he's got level 2 Bristleback. He's probably okay, but it's not an ideal lane because he just can't farm really. Like, if you're playing, you actually want the Queen of Pain against the IO Tiny, because the Queen of Pain can survive. You can play the distance game against the Tiny. If he runs at you, it's super obvious too when he runs at you. You just simply blink back and they can't really chase past the tower because the range is so large, right? It's 1300 or something like that, so you won't chase past the tower. Bane, though, is the pickup for Alliance. That's one of those heroes that we really see ran quite often with the Tiny IO. Like, it's a good setup. It's hard to kind of focus on the Bane when he's fiends gripping you because you've got a Tiny and an IO right in your face. And NIP just continue to ban out Admiral Bulldog's heroes. Is they get rid of the Nature's Prophet, the Broodmother, and the Beastmaster.
Now, Lions, what are they going to couple with this Bane? You don't want to get anything that's too much of a hard carry, right? You've already got the Tiny Wisp to take over that role. You really need more of a 2 or 3 position farming hero to be able to couple with that Bane. If it's facing up against a Bristleback and then 2 rather squishy glass cannon style intelligence cores, what kind of hero are you looking for?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm trying to think right now. Lion? We're talking about Alliance here, right? Yeah, Lion would be okay. I'm trying to think right now. I gotta see the heroes.
Fair enough.
I always cheat and look at the hero list and also look at your screen for the draft. Okay, Wind Ranger is actually gonna be the hero for Pycat, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and I think that's your safe laner, right?
Yes.
Paired with the Bane, in which case you have pretty solid disables, like the Nightmare into a Shackle shot to be able to control potentially the Bristleback or whatever goes up in that top lane. Now you're just left with the offlaner option for Alliance. Pycat does play an excellent Wind Ranger, and it makes for a pretty decent semi-carry or softer carry going into the late game, but you do need an excellent start.
I just actually went insane because of course they were going to pick a Pycat hero. Like they already have 2 supports. Like, I don't know what I was... Disregard what just happened there. That wasn't my analysis.
I completely ignored it. Don't worry, Blitz.
Okay, good job.
I heard you say Lion, and I was just like, he must have said something else.
Yeah, I zoned out for like half a second looking at the hero list. For Alliance, though, they do need a Bulldog hero. Looking at the current pool of heroes, I'm not entirely sure what that's going to be. There is... The Weaver still is kind of okay here. I know that's a hero that I actually saw him practice quite a bit on stream. You've got...
That would feel like a very heavy investment into late game, though. With you already have a Tiny Wisp, then you go Wind Ranger. It feels like you need something that's early aggressive. I really like the Nyx Assassin ban from Nip. I think that was a beautiful idea since you've got 2 intelligence cores, so naturally Nyx Assassin is super strong against them. And then the Bristleback, who, while he's strength, is actually very dependent on mana.
Batrider or Zeus, then? I'd be okay with either of those as an off lane. Maybe not the Zeus, but it's a good hero against the Earthshaker.
What about Clockwork? You're facing up against Earthshaker and Leshrac. The cogs are okay versus Bristleback as well as a pushback mechanism, not trying to lock him inside necessarily.
I think it's okay. The Clockwork synergizes well with the Bane and the Wind Ranger.
Yep.
Because it creates space for the Bane and the Wind Ranger. But just to be cool and hip, I'll say the Batrider, the Zeus, and the Clockwork is the most likely one. But I just got to throw them out there.
Yeah, 2 heroes that we haven't seen too often in this current meta, but if any team's going to run it, it would be Alliance. Ninjas in Pajamas, meanwhile, most likely we're going to be seeing a Bristleback as our offlaner here. The Witch Doctor can probably roam around, same goes with the Earthshaker. We have a Queen of Pain mid and then a Leshrac safe lane. They could change things up and maybe run like an Earthshaker off lane with the Leshrac being run as a 4 position, but that seems super unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think that's what's going to happen here at all. And I'd imagine that's a support Lesh, a carry Bristleback, like you said. Enigma is actually going to be the last pickup for Alliance.
Ooh, okay.
That is definitely a little bit off the wall.
It certainly is. The Enigma is going to be one of those big team fight heroes and will actually be able to kind of harm the farm of that bottom laner by presumably. The Enigma at this point is an offlaner here. Do you still start off with attempting to deny your creeps and make the lane work, or do you immediately go jungle?
I think you do it once or twice and then just go to the jungle if you see that the supports are sitting back there. I mean, you saw me hovering over the Lich as well, right? Like, I thought they needed something to be able to disrupt the farm of Era. I, for some reason, didn't think of the Enigma, but I knew it was going to be something off the bat, like off the wall. It was going to be like, it wasn't going to be a standard pick. Like, the clockwork just seemed too obvious.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the Enigma off lane for Bulldog, who I've never seen play this hero. There's probably some guy that watches this stream 24/7 and has seen him play it like 3 times, and he's going to tweet at us and say, like, I can't believe you don't know that.
Bulldog Enigma, #1 EU. All right, well, we'll see how he fares on that Enigma, as we do have our laning phase being set up here. Kind of some question marks as about to where everyone goes. Seems like Alliance are going to be starting off with an invasion into the enemy jungle. Ninjas in pajamas, meanwhile. We've got Limp playing the Bristleback. Jonas is actually playing the Queen of Pain, a repeat performance from game #1. This doesn't necessarily mean he's going off lane, as well, he's facing up against a Bane and a Wind Ranger. That would be double the Sables most likely. That's kind of scary. But Alliance are actually sending Mad and Pycat at bottom instead. Why do you think that is? Just to make sure that Bulldog gets good farm as a safe laner?
I'm not actually entirely sure. They might actually catch him here.
Split Earth and last couple of right clicks. Wasn't sure if that Fissure was going to be enough of a stun duration to be able to get that kill, but sure enough, the cast to follow it up, and then finally the Split Earth ensures that Era does pick up first blood.
And a little bit of a change is Limp this time, like you said, it looks like he is going to be playing that mid Bristleback. I think they were really, really happy with Jonas and Fon's performance on that Queen of Pain in that last game, and said, screw it, we'll give it to you again, even if the lanes might work out a little bit better this way. And it actually looks like Jonas is going to be playing that bottom lane, and that
this makes sense.
An aggressive tri-lane.
Yeah, the aggro tri-lane. Honestly, NiP have a powerhouse tri-lane with the Earthshaker's Witch Doctor and the Leshrac. We just saw the power of the triple stun lineup being able to get that first blood, and then that is exactly why I think they're trying to rotate out to this bottom lane, where Loda and Ake are now going to be trying to farm up, and they've got Mad as well as Pycat, who are going to be sitting in the middle lane up against that Bristleback.
Yeah, and NIP have some really interesting smoking patterns, and good job on them, but Alliance doing a really good job. They correctly read the lanes and went for the best possible combination to give themselves the advantage. Like, Wind Ranger should smash Bristleback, I think. The Enigma should survive in that short lane, and you're giving a hero or a player like Bulldog like the best possible scenario. Like, when I watch Bulldog play a hero like Nature's Prophet, for example, it just seems like he understands the angles at which they're going to come at, and he's just being as annoying as possible right now, denying so many creeps from Era. And at bottom, I mean, the Queen of Pain should be able to survive, but she's going to take heavy losses to be able to do this. And Era got the last hit on first blood this time and not her. So good lane setup by Alliance so far. And it feels like, for me, going back all the way to TI3, it just felt like they understood how teams are going to lane, and they understood how to dodge disadvantageous lanes.
You could see the power of Bane. We actually talked about, I believe Loda and I talked a bit about Bane in our cast, the Vengeful Spirit versus Bane setup, essentially, and which one would you rather have? And he was talking about the stats of Bane. Well, you can really see the power of the early stats on Bane when he's coupled up with a Wisp, allowing him to be able to have the movement speed to get a lot of right clicks. But now, Matt is a bit too far forward. Hanskin waiting it out, looking to be able to get that Fissure. Matt is getting away now, but the Fissure finally lands, and they will be able to right click him down. Ake couldn't get the bottle charges up in time.
Yeah, and Mad just got a little bit too low. I think he just played with fire a little bit too hard. I think the correct move there is just to go for the Brain Sap or the Sleep. He leveled the Brain Sap, and just make sure that you're going to survive there, because once Ake comes in, you are going to get the heal in. Ake does get the rune, and he's got the angle on Mad as well. Like, he should be perfectly fine here.
Yeah, actually, unless they get a Fissure block, Ake can't actually get through that one anymore. The Queen of Pain, though, forced back as Loda moves very offensively to make sure his Wisp stays alive.
Yeah, and this Bristleback is actually doing quite well in this mid lane. I haven't played this matchup, so maybe I over-exaggerated how well the Wind Ranger does. I presume just Bristleback against most range heroes is going to struggle, but it looks like he's doing a fine time, so...
Well, he did get a haste rune for the 2-mana rune. I'm sure the rune control is going to play a pretty critical factor for this bottle Bristleback. Seems like that's probably a primary reason why he's gotten so much CS. The early bottle allowing him to be able to keep his HP up and spam out even more quills to ensure easy CS. I mean, this is always a bit of a problem with melee versus range matchups. You take a lot of harassment, yes, but usually the melee hero will be able to get a bit more CS. Bristleback not having more damage than the Wind Ranger, but when you couple it with the quills timed at the right time when you're going for that last hit, it does make an overwhelming amount of damage.
And now Matt is actually left here all alone as Loda has switched to this top lane, and interestingly enough, once again, Jonas and Fan opting not to go for the dagger, which would allow him to harass Loda. Maybe he thinks if the Wisp comes, it's a little bit pointless for him to go for the harass at all. And Era has rotated as well as nobody really showing up to this bottom lane, and I think this is the correct decision by Bulldog. Just go to the jungle. Like, there's nothing to be had at bottom, only death.
Yeah, Jonas, they're actually going to try and turn and kill Ake. The scream goes out, but it's not in range. Loda actually drops pretty low. You can understand the idea there. Jonas didn't actually want to offensively blink towards Ake in order to get close range for the scream. Jonas may still be caught
He doesn't
here.
have blink
He
up.
does get the stun toss up, and there goes the Queen of Pain. No, maybe not. Jonas actually
got
managed to
blink.
get the one blink away to the side, and can he survive? Era's now going to be able to come in. They have the cast. No, they don't actually. 2 more mana, and they will be able to get that stun finally with the split earth following it up, and the lightning bolt to finish him off. Loda thought he had a kill and Jonas, but just barely missed out, and instead he is the one who goes down.
All right, Jonas is insane. Being able to survive there, what a player, and it's the bait of this entry as Era comes in, able to get the kill on the safe laner, and this is not what Alliance wanted as a start, as once again NIP jumped to a decent lead, and I don't think this is going to be like last game, because neither of these teams have an all-in lineup. As Alliance, though, they did need a little bit of a better start, because the IO has to be in that top lane. He can't stack any camps, so there's no recovery stack available for Loda.
Them continuing to spam out against Pycat, already up to 4 different quill sprays because of his quick turns. I'm watching Limp, and he's really good at microing his hero. So when the harassment comes in from Pycat, he turns his, if it's not his full back, it's at least the side reduction. So he's being able to get those extra quill sprays out from the trigger of Bristleback.
Oh, I just saw it right there. So good job by him so far, being able to survive this lane. And any sort of even trade at this point for NIP is successful because they are ahead in terms of kills and deaths. And Limp just pushing out this lane with so much damage now with the quills. I heard a lightning storm at top, and Era is actually completely out of mana, and he's going for the Soul Ring build.
So an early Bloodstone eventually for our Leshrac, or at least if he continues this free farm. Of course, he's had to move around quite a bit. Nip are continually trying to rotate to shut down the Tiny. Now, Tiny is currently bottom lane. He's going to go up against Jonas and Fan. Once again, toss up in the air. Jonas gets dropped pretty low, but he's still got that health potion. And I wouldn't be surprised if Nip TP down with the Witch Doctor and Leshrac in a few seconds, just to be able to continue to pressure the Tiny Wisp combination.
I think they're just trying to mess with Loda as much as they can and slow down his timings. I think they understand that Loda is such a good player at snowballing, and if you just give him a little bit, he really runs off. But this game, NIP have really just kind of focused him down, constantly switching lanes to make things as miserable as possible for him. And it's actually been Mad who's had the best of it in terms of farm. Like, but at top, they're going to make a go at him, but they don't have the mana for this.
Era completely with Split Earth, and now with the charge, they're going to be able to get some sort of shackle shot to lock Seal Kid in further. Sure enough, Fisher interrupts though, and Era is there to make sure that his support stays alive. Seal Kid able to dodge that power shot. They get out for free.
This was a big rotation though, as Pycat, their mid player, immediately comes to top, and Limp with the DD rune is going to do so much damage to the tower. I actually think they should glyph right now, as it's already taken 400 damage.
Yeah, you can see Limp actually really committing to take down this tower as he's popping quill sprays when there's no creeps around. He just wants those stacks of Warpath, which gives him that even more increased damage. Now, Mad didn't actually have the mana for a sleep there, so no setup sleep into a TP. Meanwhile, bottom lane, oh, Hunskin, hello, drops the bomb. Tosses in the Wisp with the maxed out spirits held in close. Ake does so much damage when all 4 of those hit Hanskin. He just gets bursted down.
And now Alliance are on the board, and that's a pretty crucial kill for Loda. As he was a little bit under farm, but now he's got a kill in 35 CS to back him up. So he's completely caught up. And Pycat does get the deny on that mid tower, but it does mean that Limp has the jungle open to himself, and he's the lead farmer in this game, relatively untouched. Pycat had to rotate to that top lane to attempt to kill, and he's had an easy time of it. And NIP have to be careful of that with Tiny combination, though. It's so strong as Seal Kid is coming in. There is no IO, but there's no way for Alliance or NIP to know that.
Yeah, so it would have been potentially a really good time for them to try and gank up the Tiny, at least put pressure on him. But as you said, they had no idea the Wisp wouldn't be there. Seal Kid hoping to be able to contest runes, but Pycat's already sitting on it, so not much luck there. As you said, Limp is still topping out the board, 51-4. This Bristleback is going to be damn scary. He's actually going for what looks to be a mech without the Arcane Boots build. It potentially could be a Vanguard Crimson Guard, but usually you go Vanguard first.
Yeah, I think he might be going for the mech because he's also opted to go for the wand, which isn't 100% common, but I mean, he really seems to like it. And
yeah.
The mech would be a pretty good decision here, I think. It would probably make more sense to go for the Vanguard if that was your option at bottom. They're just trying to clear the wave out and allow for Alliance to push down this tier 1 tower, and nobody from NIP seems to be responding quite just yet, but the TPs are coming in, as is the Glyph.
Yeah, Limp's going to try and force this one. He does have the early level of Go to be able to slow down Loda. Seal Kid does get a really beautiful cast because he's going to bounce between the two, but it's going to cost him his life in the process. Loda is getting away now with the help of Ake, and Mad comes in, managing to free up Bristleback, but he slept, but immediately Hanskin wakes him back up. Limp now trying to get those last couple of right clicks, but tossed up in the air. Loda stalls Limp, and it looks like with the Brain Sap, they will be able to force him back. So no kill there. Another snipe being laid out, but doesn't find its target. 3-3 right now on the board. We do have to give a slight mention there. We missed it on the camera, but Jonas did get sniped out by Pycat earlier from a beautiful power shot.
That might happen again.
Get another one. Right click him down, and now he's going to go for more. He knows Limp is low, and he also knows Hanskin is sitting behind that tower. Sure enough, gets caught by the Tiny first. Another kill for Loda.
And all of a sudden, what was a 3-0 lead, Alliance with 5 unanswered kills, pushing down the bottom tower as well. And NIP are going to be extremely unsatisfied with this, as they didn't really get a trade in return, and they lost 2 heroes that are really pivotal to them. They lost the Queen of Pain and the Earthshaker, and whatever good start that Jonas and Fawn had has been completely phased out.
And all the meanwhile, you've got Bulldog quietly farming up that top lane. He hasn't been a part of any of these fights. It's been Nip actually committing almost all 5 of their heroes and still losing fights.
That's the power of that Tiny IO, is that you can get into 4v5 fights. You don't really care. I actually completely forgot about Bulldog. Like,
yeah.
I haven't checked on his hero in the last 7 minutes, but of course he's just doing Bulldog things, farming out the map, farming out that top lane and the jungle, and making himself scarce, as he almost has a fully completed mech. And this is a really good timing for it, considering that he got sniped and he had to rotate lanes constantly.
Smoke up, they're going to run right into Pycat. This is a perfect pickoff if they manage to get it. They land the split earth, but Ake is going to try and keep Pycat alive. Era has some more lightning turnaround, and they do get a really good shackle shot, but Pycat will eventually go down. More avalanche! Loda gets 2. They get the Sonic Wave, though, to finish off the Wisp, and it still turns into a 2-for-2 exchange. Loda, though, what went from a smoking pickoff on Pycat actually makes it an even exchange. Era's maybe going to be caught here. Yep, Jane's grip, and Limp can't do anything to stop that one. In fact, he's just going to be more fuel for the flame as he runs into the black hole. He lives through it, managed to get the kill on the Enigma. Thanks to the help of Jonas and Bonnie, he's now going to try and chase down Mad. Limp wakes up. Mad does have a brain sap, though. He's going to be able to survive for a bit longer. Limp trying to commit to that kill. Mad still staying alive. Limp is going to be down. And Jonas and Bonnie hoping to be able to get the last right click, but he can't get it. Mad, with a little bit of a magic stick charge, manages to survive through the last right click, and Jonas is going to be the one forced back. But look at this. He doesn't have a blink away for another 3 seconds. Loda and Ake, though, not going to try for it.
Still, well worth it for Alliance right there, as they do manage to take down the Leshrac, the Bristleback. The Queen of Pain does live, but she doesn't really get more than that. And I mean, this game has just been a bloodbath so far, considering the type of game that we had last game. And Hanskin, not even level 6 yet, desperately just trying to get levels. So afraid of that IO Tiny combination, as Ake does pick up his level 6, and you don't want to be that solo support at that bottom lane, completely isolated out. He's just going for levels right now, as it's not even worth it for him to show himself.
Oh, wow. Ake finds himself a regen rune. What really more could you ask for? As a Wisp with a bottle tied up to that Tiny. A regen rune is exactly what you're looking for. Not only just to win fights, but just heal the Tiny back up to full without much regard to his mana or HP. So 6-9 right now, 12 minutes in. There is a significant lead for Alliance. You've got about a 3,000 experience lead and gold lead for them right now. Nip are still looking to be able to take over the game soon. It's Bristleback actually went back for a cloak before trying to complete his mech.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned. I forgot that Era said YOLO as I hit enter. I'm a little bit concerned right now for NIP though, because most of these fights have been 4v5 and they've been really fractured for Alliance, but they're still managing to hold on and win these engagements. And Bulldog, I mean, you saw him in that one fight with that black hole. That was pretty sick, but he doesn't even have a mech completed yet. And once that is done, I imagine that NIP, I mean, they're going to be under a lot of pressure, because what ended up happening last game where you could just kind of split up and farm, you can't do against the Tiny IO.
Right, there's just too many heroes to be able to set up the relocate if the relocate isn't enough by itself. Hanskin is trying to farm up these camps. The smoke is going to come into play though. They have the Malphus and the relocate. Hanskin, yeah, you are very dead. Fiend Script plus the relocate both being used to make sure that Earthshaker doesn't get anywhere close to his Blink Dagger. And
that's the concern right now that he always has to worry about. We saw Hanskin in this area of the map constantly just like holding place. He never ran away from it. He finally pokes his head out and decides he's going to farm just one creep wave somewhat near his tower, and he immediately gets picked off.
The mech now finished by Limp. We'll see how successful this pickup is, because we already have the counter mech from Alliance's Bulldog. Or at least will have it as soon as the courier gets to him. Looks like they want to go for some sort of smoke plays. Hanskin TP's in with the smoke ready to go. They're going to bring back Era first.
That's a fully completed Aghanim Scepter now by the Tiny.
And that is just a little bit too late. Even if they do find the Tiny at this point in time, which he is in a very good position if they manage to get him. Unfortunately, they're farming up the Ancients, and Nip are looking in the jungle.
Yeah, and Loda's actually getting quite low. He's not quite strong enough yet. Like he's still only level 9, is what you have to remember, but he should be able to clear this out as he does get healed up.
Yeah, pretty sick. Okay, already with the Urn, he'll be able to go for the Glimmer Kid, because he doesn't have to worry about going for a mech this game. That's already on Bulldog. It's always lovely as a Wisp when you don't have to worry about the mech pickup.
Oh, for sure. Like going for something like Glimmer Cape really helps, especially against NIP's lineup. Like look at their lineup. That is about as magic-based as you can possibly get. And we saw the effectiveness of the Glimmer Cape in that last game when Matt decided to pick it up. And Bulldog, just doing Bulldog things, is him and the Bane alone are able to push out this bottom tier 2 tower. And NIP know they can't defend it because the Tiny and the IO could be there at any moment. So they're going to give this up. But meanwhile, in middle as well, Loda and Pycat just beating away at that tower. And this could just mean 2 towers for free.
Yep, a tier 2 being traded off for the tier 1 at the top lane, and the middle tier 1 dropping quite low as well. Lions gonna be super happy with that trade-off. They quickly bounce though as Nip form a response, and instead they're just gonna go back to farming, because why not? They've got a Tiny Wisp. They don't really need to worry about trying to push down towers this game. They can afford to go late.
And NIP have just lost a little bit too much in terms of towers, and right now they are struggling with levels, and they've completely lost control of their jungle, which is huge for their team. Like a hero like Leshrac or a hero like Earthshaker, I mean, pretty much their entire team relies on the jungle a little bit, and you see such an aggressive ward placed out. Bulldog and Matt are almost always on that side of the map. Things just get rough from here as they go for the 3-man smoke gank, and they're just trying to completely secure out the jungle, and they might even go for Era here at bottom.
Yeah, this could be a big pickoff. They may even utilize Black Hole.
There's no way that Era knows this is coming. Like, this would be such a surprise game. They're going to wait on top of the hill, so he has 0 time to react. Are they in position for this? Era's coming up.
Yeah, there goes the Fiend's Grip, already setting that one up. They drop the Midnight Pulse and just trying to right-click him down before the response is there. Sure enough, Hanskin gets off the Fissure, but it's too late. Pycat's last right-click secures the kill. Limp now having to deal with Ake as well as Loda. The Bristleback dropping quite low, trying to slow down Loda as best as he can. There is a toss up. Avalanche in just another 4 seconds. Limp actually trying to turn around as he heads down river, but ends up getting caught by the toss. There's a Avalanche coming his way. Matt also with the brain stab, almost enough damage, and sure enough, Loda finishes him off for a mega kill streak by 17 minutes.
Yeah, and we saw Loda get killed early on, but I mean, he's caught up in a big way, picking up that Aghanim Scepter at a really reasonable time. 17 minutes in, he's got 2,000 gold to go with it. That should be a Hyperstone or maybe a BKB. Actually, a BKB is like 10 times better. No, he actually might just go for the Hyperstone because he feels that they're far enough ahead.
Yeah, I think the Leshrac there still not having the Bloodstone, you can maybe feel confident enough going and getting the AC instead of the BKB. If something like this, Leshrac was really a big factor, was actually sitting on a large amount of farm, and kind of same goes for Jonas, then BKB would be essential. But I think Loda's right, that Alliance are just simply too far ahead, and they can afford to go for the straight carry Tiny now.
Yeah, and they're going for definitely the offensive maneuver here as the Bristleback just doesn't have enough farm, and he's sort of tanky, but just not enough. Like, he doesn't have enough armor to contend with this Tiny, who's got the Aghanim Scepter and the level 11. And NIP, they don't really have any core items on anybody quite just yet. Like, the Queen of Pain is desperately trying to work on an Orchid. The Earthshaker doesn't have really, he's nowhere near the Blink Dagger. There's no Aghanim Scepter that's going to come on that Witch Doctor. Right. And NIP, I mean, even Era, kind of their Rockeye field, doesn't even have a Bloodstone at 18 minutes into the game.
Yeah, especially considering he's going like straight Bloodstone, no upgraded boots, no other stat items, and still not having that Bloodstone is a very bad sign for him. He's actually only sitting at 5k net worth. That's behind all three of the cores of Alliance, most notably Loda, who's about to break that 10k marker before the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, and he's just hitting up this top tower, and a TP response is coming. It's always got to be Limp, because he's the only person that can survive that two-man rotation. But even now, Alliance are just kind of forcing NIP to play reactively. Era's getting really close to his Bloodstone now. I think like 20 minutes is when he'll get it. But if he gets ganked up right now, that would be so bad for him. And they do know that Matt is there, but again, they're just kind of playing with him. And even Pycat's gone for such a greedy build. Like, he opted to go for the Hand of Midas before getting anything else. I'd imagine this is a Aghanim Scepter. You could go for a Blink Dagger if you're really, really cheeky, but I don't know if that's the case here.
At a certain point, NIP do need to try and force something. Is it with the Bloodstone pickup, or what other items are you looking for NIP to pick up before they start trying to offensively, like, 5-man into towers?
Wait 1 second, as Limp might actually run into both of these. I think if you're Alliance, you go for the Roshan and then just push down all the tier 1s at some point. Or maybe even just go for the tier 1 first. Because right now, NIP are struggling for farm. Like, you can hold this pace right now, and you'd still probably win the game by 30 minutes. If you're NIP, you have to get core items somehow. Like, I don't exactly know how they're going to accomplish that as Hanskin gets caught up by the shackle.
Loda's going to be able to dunk him real quick, especially with the focus fire being laid out. But can they actually turn this one? Loda's kind of caught here as Limp's going to go for him. Ake, though, with the quick relocate out. Good attempt to the split earth, but that's not going to be good enough. Oh, Jonas now going to be caught with Admiral Bulldog right on top of that one. Fiend's Grip, and potentially even the Malphite being used. Brain Sap will finish him off. Bane picks up yet another kill. Easy saves for Alliance and kills Pickoss all across the map.
Yeah, and Mad, I mean, you're seeing him have an absurd amount of impact this game, 2, 1, and 6, but the stats don't even tell the real story is he's been everywhere so far. That ultimate, I mean, every single time it's up, seems like he goes for a kill. And Alliance are going for this tier 1 tower mid. I think you just keep going maybe, and then go for the Roshan, because Mad has that medallion. Like, you could go in either order. Like, it doesn't matter, because NIP aren't really going to contest this.
Yeah, it seems like Alliance, quickly countering out the wards based around Roshan, so that will free up Roshan hopefully for them in the next few minutes. Obviously, they're not going to try and take it right underneath Nip's nose. That would be a bit too ballsy, but they will take this ancient stack instead.
Yeah, now that he's level 11, he's able to do this quite easily. Loda is getting really close to that Assault Cuirass, and with it and an Aegis, I think they could actually go high ground. Got 1,700 gold. Okay, that's a fully completed AC at 21 minutes with the Aghanim Scepter.
Meanwhile, you've got like Limp, who's probably also struggling to get his Assault Cuirass, but he is nowhere near that amount of farm of the Tiny. So they will have that big armor advantage going the way of the Tiny. The minus armor obviously kicking into play as well. And meanwhile, I'm still looking towards Earthshaker going, when are they ever going to get a Blink Dagger?
Unless they win a really big fight, I don't think he's going to get a Blink Dagger by even the 30-minute mark. Because how are they going to actually pressure towers against a Tiny IO? Like, if you go for any sort of towers at this point. You have to be ready for a 5-man fight. And this is kind of the luxury afforded to you when you have this combination, is that it's not even about the pressure that you put on, it's about the sense of fear that you instill into your opponents.
Emerald Bulldog scouting out with this Eidolon, sees Nip. We're actually centering up 4 or 5 heroes in their own jungle. We're looking to be able to gank him up, but he quickly blinks himself away ahead of the Queen of Pain. And that leads a very fruitless gank attempt for Ninjas in Pajamas, who are now left to just sit back and farm some more. But all the meanwhile, this Tiny is growing bigger and bigger.
All right, Pycat's just racking up an investment right now. He's got 4,600 gold. Can pretty much go for whatever he wants. I'd imagine it's a full Aghanim Scepter. Like, he's just stacking up gold, and they're so far ahead. I mean, it looks pretty. Like, it looks nice, but buy the point booster, Pycat.
He is just refusing to. I mean, what other play does he really have? I mean, really expensive items. What would you go for? If you basically had 6,000 gold on the Wind Ranger, if you're not going to go Aghanim Scepter, what else would you go?
Silver Edge for the Bristleback, probably.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But I would imagine that the Aghanim Scepter is more useful here. Limp is going to get caught out.
Oh dear, he is facing that one, takes a huge amount of damage. Feeds grip and the Shackle Shot both being used to hold him in place a little bit longer. Black Hole, lock it in two. Sonic Wave from behind actually finished off at least okay, a big Echo Slam being laid down. Almost enough to finish off Admiral Bulldog, who will get the last right click on Hanskin to the right side. Loda almost dropping, but Seal can't quite finish him off. Era hoping to be able to get the lightning to get these kills, but he just can't get in range. Matt now going to look to hide himself in the trees, but will be locked out by Ninjas in Pajamas. Pycat returning, huge tackle shot, but he can't stop the death of his ally, and he will back himself away. Alliance, I think, very lucky that Loda managed to skate away with his life intact, as that could have been a big win for Nip.
Hanskin was half a second away from throwing down that ultimate, and Bulldog was right there with that black hole. And if that Tiny actually died, that could have been a huge swing for NIP. Like, that would have been another Bloodstone charge for the Leshrac, who's already got 10. Like, right after he picks it up, he would have gotten another one. That would have just been such a huge turnaround, but manages to live at the last second as Pycat was the first one in, and there you go, the fully completed Silver Edge.
You called it, man. This means our poor Bristleback, the guy who's got the most farm on Nip, but that farm still pales in comparison to the Tiny, is now having to deal with the ultimate counter, a Silver Edge, to be able to stop that Bristleback passive.
I actually can't believe that fight was that close, though. Considering they got a 2-man black hole, they got the Shackle to begin the fight, and NIP still managed to hold somewhat. So that's a pretty encouraging sign. They go for the...
I think that was Jonas' Sonic Wave, being able to take out the Wiz so early in that fight. And now they're going to go for the big off on Mad. Nice Fisher block. Mad should be done for here. The only hope he really has is make some sort of sleep play at the last half second. Can't even get that one off. There's just too many disables and nukes.
Yeah, and he was just, he gave up on life. He's like, I'm so screwed. It's like, there's no way I'm going to survive. Nobody's near me. Can't really do much in that situation, but another Bloodstone goes the way of the Leshrac, and that's what makes kills like that okay. Like, if you're getting Bloodstone charges and racking them up, like, as a Leshrac player, you're perfectly okay with getting a support, a carry. It doesn't matter. One charge is one charge.
Especially since at this point in time, it seems like Nip, with the trajectory of this game, are probably going to be playing defense. They're probably going to be defending Raxes, with Alliance racking up so much farm on the Tiny. If they can get enough Bloodstone charges, having the instant respawn on the Leshrac could mean a lot to be able to continue that fight and maybe push back against Alliance as they overextend themselves. Ake and Loda are doing some work here
bottom
at the top
lane. There's the Silver Edge going to work on Limp. Turning around won't help you out here, buddy, as Admiral Bulldog is the one to get the last hit on that, but Pycat with that Silver Edge and that Haste Rune, I mean, he just gets torn to pieces.
And now, I mean, if there wasn't enough incentive for you to stay grouped up on the side of Nip against Tiny Wiz, now you have added incentive with Pycat picking up that Silver's Edge. He is such a terrifying force by himself at this point.
And now Alliance decided to go for the Roshan. Feel like this is a good time for it. Maybe you can even go for that bottom tower. Like, just go bottom right after, instead of having to go for tier 2s if you feel like you're this far ahead. But I doubt that Alliance does that. Like, the much safer play is just to go for all the tier 2 towers out, wait for the next Roshan after that to go for the high ground. If you get any pickoffs, then you can just win the game.
Yeah, there's still a lot of farm in that top lane. Not only is the creep wave pushing in, but there's still that tier 1 and tier 2 up. So Alliance, if they want to, can look towards that lane first, defend, and then push Ninja the Pajamas are just going to try and make the most of the space that is being created through their split pushing. They've got a nice little ancient stack here. Got to make sure that it doesn't get fed to Loda, that's for sure. I think our Limp's going to have to immediately look to farm that one up. If they can get this stack and perhaps just a few more minutes of farm, they will be able to get the counter Assault Cuirass on Limp to attempt to equalize these fights a bit more.
Yeah, and so he's going to do the stack right now. I mean, he just needs raw armor to deal with that Wind Ranger because your Bristleback, it's your namesake. That's what makes your hero. So if you're not able to tank out anything as a result of that Silver Edge, you just need items at this point. That's the only thing that's going to save them. But as you continue to farm, Alliance just get bigger and bigger as that's almost a fully completed BKB for Loda, and NIP don't really have anything that can deal with that. They've got the Death Ward, but it's such a low level that I doubt it does anything, and they've got the Sonic Wave, but even then, they don't have the physical damage to be able to deal with them.
Era is a stacking king right now. Everywhere he goes, he's trying to stack up some camps for them to be able to more efficiently farm up the jungle. Because they know they have a very limited time as Tiny continues to crash through building after building. Alliance are racking up enough momentum to be able to push uphill quite soon. And that is if they want to. They've got a BKB about to be completed for Tiny as well.
Here goes Pycat, popping that ultimate on the tower. It goes down in short order. Loda, it looks like they want to continue to push this out as NIP aren't in the best position to defend quite yet.
They still have that Aegis to be able to utilize on the Tiny, so they might as well try and poke uphill and see what happens, but never mind. Alliance, thinking that they forced enough heroes back to base, are now going to continue to farm out, deal with the bottom lane push, deal with mid, and continue to farm. You can see 16,000 net worth on the Tiny, 11.5K on both the Wind Ranger and Admiral Bulldog's Enigma. That is all ahead of the Bristleback, who's the top farmer for NIP.
Yeah, and this Enigma has a BKB, 1,100 gold. Alliance just looking stronger and stronger as NIP aren't left with a lot of options, and this is not what you want if you're NIP, clearly. You don't want to be holed up in your base against a Tiny, and I think this is just a result of a subpar laning phase, as Alliance were really able to take it to them. After that initial 3-0 salvo that was fired off by NIP, it's almost entirely been Alliance.
Oh dear, Limp, spotted out by the ward, is going to be taking a lot of damage. The Fiend Script's getting laid down, hoping to be able to hold him, but Mad finally gets a splitter, but it's still the pure damage coming out from Mad to finish off the Bristleback. Another carry going down for NIP, as they're only left with the options of Jonas once again struggling to split push to keep this game going just a bit longer.
Yeah, and this time he's going for the same idea, but this time around Alliance, they've got the cores to deal with it. They've completely changed how they've drafted, as they've got 2 cores that can definitely keep up and deal damage in the late game. Pycat's got a DD rune. They still have the Aegis. I think this is going to mean high ground. He hasn't even used his ultimate yet. There goes Loda with the stun. He doesn't really care. He's just trying to zone them back. The BKBs even pop for this because they want this tower right now. The Glyph is going to be popped by NIP, but can they hold on?
Gold for golds, Glyph and BKB both being utilized there. NIP trying to control Loda as much as possible, but they are just not bringing this monster down. The damage from afar, the lightning after lightning proc is still not enough. They brought down now the range rags, and Tiny's going to look for more. He's got the Aegis, grabs Era, looking to be able to toss him backwards, couldn't quite get it. They're continuing to try and kite this guy around. Pycat's going to be initiated on. There goes the Silver Edge, toss Limp back into his allies. There's the cast, bounce himself around, reinitiation, 3-man black hole from Admiral Bulldog, locking down NIP, and a lost fight indeed. And Seal Kid hoping to be able to get some sort of remnants of a fight through a death ward, but no can do. NIP call GG.
Yeah, and this is a quick one. This time Alliance were able to punish every single lane from, I mean, 2 minutes on, it was just all Alliances. NIP couldn't really hold up to the pressure, and this is the issue with playing against a Tiny IO, is that if you haven't won the laning phase at that point, things just become